Yes, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning to the people around the world. Might not be morning for everybody, but it is for us over here on the East Coast. Shout out to the people in the room already. We got Jeremy Herbert in the room. Yeah, we're sitting here with our coffees this morning.
It's green tea and some herbs that I keep around the house over here.
Well, that's good too. That's good too. Shout out to everybody coming on in the room. This is a special episode of A2HH Live. I mean, we got some actual new music in the new year. And I mean, a Jay-Z verse ish, if you will. So we got to talk about it. First of all, how are you this morning? And we'll get into it. We'll, thumbs up in the chat so we can get some more people in here. I don't know if you guys heard the record yet. They said the song's terrible. I don't think that, but how are you this morning, man? We're gonna get into it.
Well, like my mug says, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Joshua, 24:15.
Yeah. Well,
That's how we're doing.
I hear that. And as we should serve the Lord. Okay, let's just get into it. People say this shit was trash. Listen, I thought the song was good. I thought that the rollout. I thought the song was cool. Well, first of all,
Let's unpack the song and not try to highlight. Jay
Okay, let's
too much.
unpack the song.
We do reviews here, and so I figured we should probably review the song.
Let's do that. And I think a 9-minute, 33-second song deserves a review in itself, right?
Correct.
Well, first off, I want to say I'm not familiar with is it Jeymes Samuel? But it's pretty much his record, right? So I can't leave him out. And if we're gonna talk about this song and we're gonna review this song, he's the first thing we need to talk about because this 9 minute and 33 seconds record, I mean, I would say is taking up maybe 65 to 75% of it, right?
It would appear that way.
I thought that, like I said, I thought the song was cool. I thought it was an album song, as it is. It looks like it's number 7 on this soundtrack. I don't think it's a song that deserves hoopla. But again, I think when you elevate a record and promote a record and it doesn't meet the expectations of what you promoted, then people will say things like it's trash. I think that if we didn't hear anything about this record and it just popped up, then maybe people would feel a different way. And I think if Jay-Z took a different approach on his feature on here, people would feel a different way. I think the instrumentation was dope. The production was put together well. I mean, it was a vibey song. I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about the song in itself, but I'm going to get to the Jay-Z verse. Now, that might be where all the criticism's coming from. Shyster30 with a $20 super chat showing love this morning. He says, blessings, my brothers. It's been a minute catching you guys live due to my work schedule. Happy New Year as well. Happy New Year to you as well. I'm glad you were able to catch us this morning. I've been talking a lot, Coop. What are some of your first things you want to cover on this record?
Well, the first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that, and I've said this before, I really ain't trying to do 9-minute songs.
Right.
I bought up Public Enemy's Black Steel and the Hour of Chaos because in order to keep somebody's attention for over 5 minutes on a record, it has to have some energy. It has to have some context. It has to be compelling. It has to be impactful. So this record is missing all of that, in my opinion.
I think I said this on the show Monday. We missed Wednesday, had an engagement or whatnot, but we here. I said that for a 9-minute record, I brought up Spodioti and Liberation as examples. Those records are longer records because of the instrumentation. I figured that instrumentation in, horn solos or whatever, orchestration or whatever would have to be involved to justify this being 9 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever they were saying when they were promoting it. And that was the case. D'Angelo's part was very minimal on here as well. Jay-Z's part, I mean, for 9 minutes and 33 seconds was very minimal here. Did this song, why would you say this song didn't keep your attention, per se?
Okay, so let's just real quick go to the songs that you brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Spody, Odie, Dopalicious, and Liberation. Those beats are significantly better than the beat we just heard.
Of course.
Is that fair?
That's very fair. I think the artists themselves would say that.
The message is better, Mike. Like, how about this? Liberation was like, I mean, no. I say it. Liberation. When I was at UNCG my freshman year,
Mm-hmm.
that was our turn up song before me and the homies went and caught the bus to church. Like, there were a lot of us in the dorm in Grogan Hall that were we were young men. We came from some adverse circumstances and situations, and UNCG provided the opportunity for you to go to church. They would shuttle you to and from. You just had to get up early enough. And so I would go down to my man Byron's room on the second floor, and we would play Liberation before we would go. It would have us in tears sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about a record like having a place, being impactful, moving you, keeping your attention, you know?
You on a spiritual level.
Yeah, it's almost like, I mean, it was the first quote-unquote hip-hop record that I heard that almost felt like a gospel song.
I was just about to go there, yeah.
And a very good one at that. You know, when CeeLo's like, so keep your hands to the sky. Like,
and then Deborah
it used to give me chills.
Yeah.
And then shake that load off.
Shake
that load off. It's so well put together, Mike. I mean, but now that I'm older, it's like I don't even necessarily classify it as a hip hop song.
It's on a hip hop album, yeah.
It's on a hip hop album, but it's so well put together on a musical level,
Straight
on a
up.
songwriting level,
that's a
on an instrumentation level, on a production level. It's a 10 on all levels.
I don't wanna beat a dead horse here, but again, that album getting reviewed the same day as Volume 2 in the Source, and they gave Volume 2 4.5 mics. There's no way with a record like Liberation on that Akumenai album that they could have given those two albums the same rating. They were forced to give that 5. Because like you said, that's a 10 out of 10. And then you got Spody Odie on there doing that same thing on the same effort. No.
Well, let's go to Spody Odie right quick.
Mm-hmm.
Mike. Okay, how about this? Battle of the Bands is this Sunday.
Shout out to them. I love it.
Mike, I guarantee you, listen to what I'm saying. Somebody playing Spody Odie Dopalicious live at Battle of the Band Sunday, and you know it.
We were when I was in band, and that was 20 some odd years ago.
That's what I mean. Instrumentation and just beat wise, it's a classic. And now let's go to the impact of it. It's like, and since we're on the spoken word tip.
Oh, we're going to get to the spoken word.
Big Boy and Andre are covering a timeless theme, especially for black folks.
Yeah.
And it's not that complicated. It's being in the club on a Friday night.
Yeah.
It's relatable, Mike.
Even the way Big Boy came in, it was like he kind of took it out of the club and talked about basically, you know, the person you meet at the club, y'all end up getting together and forming a life together. Timeless theme.
I mean, I'm going to be, you know, I know the most famous part of the song is, you know, like the way Andre ended the verse, it's like, oh no, that's so relatable because that's real. Two niggas start pie, and one nigga done took his shirt off talking about who else want to fuck with Hollywood Cole. Mike, you done been in the club before and seen that happen. Especially
times.
Down here.
Many times.
Right.
Many times.
And so in order for something to impact you, it has to be relatable. And those beats are fire, Mike.
Oh yeah.
They're not just okay beats with live instrumentation. They're great. They are the reason, those two songs are probably the reason that Aquemini got 5 mics.
I agree with you. That and the song Akuma, I agree. I think those two, especially in 1998, because things went really, really analog in 98 hip hop wise. And these guys
Yeah.
doubled down on the live instrumentation, and it dwarfed a lot of their contemporaries, especially those two records. So yes, I could see those two records being something where it's like, you know what? I know we've never given an album outside of that wasn't made in New York 5 mics before, but we're gonna have to do it today. Um, I think Spodiote
Yes.
might have more legs than any record on Akuma and in today's time as well. In my
Just
personal
about the
opinion.
live instrumentation, Mike, and the fact that I know it's going to get played at Battle of the Bands on Sunday, like speaks to that.
This
It's timeless.
Okay, to get back to this record, I think one of the things that really disappoints people is the fact that the person that was really showcased on this song. I mean, in my personal opinion, maybe I need to hear more records from Mr. Samuels, but wasn't a superstar on the level of Jay-Z and D'Angelo.
Okay,
Um,
so
and I think that when you market a song based on the superstar individuals that are on there, and then the person who nobody really knows like that takes the load, and they're not somebody that's just some breakthrough artist, you are gonna fall short. It's kind of like let's just say there's a big three or something, or a big two. Let's just say Devin Booker, Kevin Durant join up, right? And then somehow the other guy who no one's really heard of off the bench, you going to the game, you taking your son to the game or your daughter to the game, and the person that keeps getting the ball is the person that we didn't come to see. From an
okay,
entertaining
so
standpoint. And that
no, I
person
get
that
it.
keeps getting the ball is not somebody that you're like, oh yeah, that's the next Durant. Or that's the next, but you know what I'm saying? That's what this
No,
song was.
I totally understand what you mean. So, I mean, it's good marketing, but it's false advertisement.
It's false advertising. I think that's the best way to put it. And
And
when you false advertise to the public on a high level, people don't respond well to that.
because this got billed as Jay-Z and D'Angelo have a 9-minute song together.
Exactly.
So
They
your
didn't even mention
expectation is that
Samuels.
Jay is going to have maybe 3 or 4 16-bar verses, or maybe he's going to have a Hove did 5-minute diatribe verse,
Right.
or you're going to have some back and forth where D'Angelo is singing and ad-libbing Jay-Z's bars. There's so many expectations that you have with these two icons, and it's definitely false advertisement going on to help sell the record, to help sell the soundtrack, to help sell the new artist,
The
or the
movie
newer
too.
artist. Yeah, it's all of those things. But this is what I keep getting back to, and we keep having to have this conversation. The fucking song gotta be good first, Mike. And I don't know why people in music are starting to fail to realize that. I understand that this is a totally new ball game now, and I understand that there's so many other factors that are in play now. But it's called the music business. The music is the first part of it. Then it's business, which means you know what needs to be good first before the business is good? The product needs to be viable, Mike, and it's just not a viable product as a record. Listen to what I'm saying. Ain't nobody about to run around and listen to this song for 9 minutes.
You're right. And I think this is something that the music industry has struggled with for a long time. I mean, I was watching this documentary that's on Disney Plus, actually. They were documenting the 90s. It's a whole series, rather. And then there was one section where they were talking about the rise of Napster, and they were talking about the rise of people downloading songs and how the music business reacted to it and blah, blah, blah. But there's one thing that they left out, and a very, very important piece for the people who actually lived it. The music that was coming out at that time, I would say 97 to 99, early 2000s, There was a quality control issue. Now, there were great efforts in that era, but there were also a lot of us who went to the record store and we bought an album. I joke about it all the time on this show. I bought that Rough Riders Volume 2 and it was trash. And as a high schooler, I felt like I wasted $15 of my high school money where I could have bought Iron Man. I could have bought something that I didn't have. This is when Blockbuster Music, Sam Goody and all them start putting those stands up there where you could actually hear the album first. Napster became a reaction to the fact that people were upset with the music that they were tricked into buying from marketing. And it would be 2 or 3 really good songs on there. And in the CD era where people could fill up 70-something minutes, there was like 45 to 50 minutes of fluff. It's kind of gotten worse in the streaming era when you talk about a quality control, but for whatever reason, no one ever wants to look at the product when it comes to the music industry. But any other industry, if you're baking cakes or you making pizza and your pizzas are trash and people don't buy them, you got to make a better pizza. But for whatever reason in music, it's somehow the consumer's issue. No, like you said, the music has to be better.
And so let's speak to that right quick. I mean, so when you're operating in food and beverage, Mike, you know how many places close down because the business isn't good, but the quality's there? Like, there's a pizza shop right up the street from where I work. And if they're not out of business yet, they're about to go out of business. Now, their pizzas are about $30 for a regular pizza.
Yeah.
But the quality is there. But on the business side of things, well, we're on the block. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's technically by zip code, a low income area. Technically, even though they trying like a motherfucker to gentrify it. You know, there's been blockbusting and redlining and gentrification going down on Edgewood for a minute now. But the pizza's damn good, Mike.
I know what you're talking about. It's great.
Yeah, and so I'm sad to see the place go because it's like, well, damn, they're creating a quality product, and because the business is being dictated by inflation, it's not working. On the other side, so the juxtapose it, it's like, well, here we have the business practice of inflating a product that actually needs to be suppressed. And here's what I mean by suppressed. First of all, this song need to go down from 9 minutes and 33 seconds to 3 minutes and 39 seconds.
True.
Okay? Jay-Z, that spoken word shit, first of all, that was never your game. That was never your lane.
We're going to get to him and his spoken word, for real.
We going to need you to rap.
Yeah.
D'Angelo, I'm going to need you to sing some hooks and shit. And I'm going to need somebody in there, seeing how this is two titans coming together to do a song, to do some quality troll and say, hey, this track ain't the track that we need to
Well,
put.
that's the job of a real producer. A real producer. A producer will let you know, like, no, that's not it. You know, we can't do this. Michael Williams with the super chat.
Somebody needs to be like, that's not it.
Yeah.
And I'm getting tired of saying that. It's like, where is the person in the room that's not scared of checking these guys' ego and being like, hey, fam, I love you. We not doing that. Like, that's why I love Dame Dash so much.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dame is the type of dude that'll be like, man, get that shit out of here and put something else on so we can get this right.
Michael Williams with the super chat says the Jay feature was pointless. Seems like the only purpose it serves was to so that they could say that Jay was on the soundtrack. Very disappointing. Shout out to everybody in the room. Thumbs up in the chat. And if you haven't heard the song, go check it out so you can actually be a part of the discussion and know what we're talking about here.
I don't know if I would want to subject people to that.
No, I want people to know. I want people to know, you know what I mean? So I can get their input too. We can get their input and maybe we're tripping. But
we not tripping.
CJ Kid with the super chat says, good morning, OGs, mental and physical as always. But damn, you guys are on early, doing work hours. Bless you guys. Well, I mean, it's a special occasion. Jay-Z dropped us a verse, so you know we had to do something.
That's not a verse, but I hear you.
Okay, well let's talk about that.
Gonna be a verse.
Well, let's talk about that. Spoken word jigger. That's what I call it. You know, I thought about this, and I don't want to bring Andre into this, but I am.
Yep, go ahead. I do.
Andre and Kendrick. I want to start with Kendrick because Kendrick did this on that Jeezy record, right? Where, it was supposed to be Jeezy featuring J. Cole and Kendrick. And then Kendrick
Right.
gets on there singing. And I thought that was such a cop out, right? And then I thought about it like, who opened the door for these quote unquote cop outs where there's a great MC featured on the record and you're waiting for a great verse and then you don't get a verse at all? Or you just get spoken word stuff. 3000 started that. And I remember as a fan, early on, early on in my life, and he would get on the record and it's like, well, he didn't really do what I thought he was going to do. First time he did that was, the first time that really stands out in my mind was that Slim Cutter Calhoun, It's Okay. Which is a cool verse, but it's like...
Okay. See, here's the thing, though. Back to the
song.
quality.
Yeah, good song.
That song's actually dope. Right, that song's actually dope.
But that's how it starts, though. You know what I'm saying? And then I think that fast forward to what we just heard, from a spoken word standpoint, obviously Jay's words are always going to be there. It kind of becomes a cop-out in a sense where it's like, okay, well, this is poetry. You can't diss this. If you don't like it, you just don't get it, right? And I feel like this appearance is similar to that Kendrick appearance on the Jeezy and J. Cole record, where it's kind of a cop-out. It's
Well, that's the thing, Mike. Mike, there are whack-ass poets running around this city. I know, because I used to do open mics and do poetry, too.
It's true. But I think people are more...
There are whack-ass poets out here.
But people are quicker to point out a whack rapper than a whack poet. You know what I mean? It's like I always say about rapper Big Pooh, and I'm not trying to be funny, but Big Pooh's not dope to me. You know what I'm saying? But nobody says that because of the style of hip-hop that they make. There's no boom bap backpack guys that you're going to call out like a Silk the Shocker or a Magoo or something. You know what I mean?
Well, how about this? What's the difference between this and one of those damn 10-minute songs on Andre's Flute album? Because I don't hear much of a difference.
Words are in this.
Ooh, yay.
I could have just went with the instrumental.
To quote Erykah Badu, Mike, what good do your words do if they don't understand you? Because I don't understand this shit. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, what is the point of this song? How does it even, like, does it fit somewhere even to the theme of the message of the movie? Like, that's why I'm saying, what good do your words do if they don't understand you?
I think where Jay's struggling at right now, and I'm just going to be fair, he came in the game and got his, got his level of success, and I mean his much, deserved respect and everything in the game based on being very entertaining. Reasonable Doubt's even entertaining. You know what I mean? The Evils, even though it's dark, grim, and all those things, it's entertaining. Imaginary Play is entertaining.
Reasonable Doubt is captivating, Mike.
It is.
Captivating.
That's what Jay's always been, captivating. You don't know. PSA, powerful music. You know what I'm saying? And I think in this juncture in his career and trying to find this side of his style, he's trying to find a way to make these things entertaining, and they're just not. And it kind of goes back to what he said on Moment of Clarity. When he talks about he could have been a conscious rapper, but he chose to do something else. Well, now he's trying to do the conscious thing, and it's really not his strong suit.
Okay, so part of why I never liked that bar is that, no, you never wanted to rhyme like Common Sense. That's the part of him that's a great salesman.
Yeah,
it's like if you believe that line, you haven't been paying attention to who Jay-Z is, because like Jay-Z has a very heightened and acute awareness and is good with the details.
Mm-hmm.
But quote unquote conscious, which I really don't like that label that like Yasin and Calm and all them in Thought get tagged with. Oh, but he's never even had any sort of resemblance of having the capability of doing that, Mike. I'm sorry, he hasn't.
He's reflective, but that's
he has
different
reflective moments. Yeah, Song Cry, December 4th, my first song. Yeah,
Mama Loves Me. I mean, but
Mama Loves Me.
But even when you even when you look at a great record like This Can't Be Life, right? He's being reflective on there, but he's on there with two guys who are much better at being reflective than he is, and it shows.
But also, too, this is what I mean about what his reflection is. It's still reflections of a hustler thinking back like, damn, I'm going to be a failure surrounded by thugs, drugs, and drug paraphernalia. Right. It's still street talk, even when he's reflective. And it's like, that's where I appreciate a Pusha T or a Freddie Gibbs, because at least they like, nah, this is what I do well, so fuck it, double down.
Right. Ronve in the room. Shout out to Ronve with the super chat. He says, good morning, y'all. We were trolling with this one. We were trolled with this one, excuse me. Jay has been getting a lot of passes lately. God did verse, Hip Hop 50 exclusion. This is inexcusable. And I know Ronve personally. Ronve is a Jay-Z fan and a Nas fan. I think he's Nas number one, but I think he's like you and I. We got Nas at 1 and Jay at 2. Our fans just fed up at this point, and it's something like this, the straw that broke the camel's back for a Jay-Z fan to say, you know what, I'm good on, the possibility of a new Jay-Z album.
Well, he's definitely not helping his legacy. That's for damn sure. And so I think we need to talk about, okay, so I think Kareem's last season, Kareem averaged 10 points. It went from 17 points to 10 points, Mike. You know what I'm saying? And this is a man that used to, early on his career, there haven't been a lot of people in the, what I like to call pre-freewheeling and dealing NBA, which is the modern day NBA. There haven't been a lot of guys that consistently averaged over 30 points. There's actually only been a few. Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan. Kareem's one of those guys that was good for 30 to 35 a night, Mike, not for a year or two, but for like damn near a decade.
He was unstoppable.
He was unstoppable. And to see him be reduced to somebody that was only scoring 10 points a game, it was time to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the conversation that we need to be had is like, this isn't Michael Jordan on the Wizards. Like, Mike was not in shape. He was smoking cigars and drinking every day, damn near. And he was still going out and busting niggas for 20, 22 points a game.
Yeah, he was averaging like 23 points a game. He was putting up all-star numbers. This isn't all-star numbers.
That's my thing. Okay, so here's my question. Because it's like, we all know this song isn't any good. When is the last time Jay-Z made an all-star team, Mike? You get what I'm saying?
One would argue God Did's verse and, neck and wrist. But again, these are just individual verses. There's, again, we're playing that 3,000 game again. Where one of the things...
don't get that. That's exactly what I'm about to say, Mike. If we're doing that for Andre, we have to do that for Jay.
Yeah. Doing one verse and all that, it ain't, especially knowing who we're talking about here. In my personal opinion, I love Dre. I love Cass, got the vinyl and all that stuff here. I don't think Andre has the ability to make a solo rap song. That's why we haven't gotten it. But when it comes to Jay, Jay could give you a soundtrack record, a great soundtrack record on a whim. And to get 16 bars, if it's even 16, of spoken word from him at this level and, lack thereof, yeah, it does feel like 10 points a game Kareem. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, even dialing it in, Jay could give you Brooklyn We Go Hard. And that's at the latter parts of his career. Great record. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could just dial those in. You remember when Jay could just throw soundtrack records everywhere? We were just talking about him being the soundtrack king. He'll give you a full record, like 3 verses and all of that. But to see him reduced to not only marketing or false advertising, as you say, 9.5-minute song with him, D'Angelo, and Mr. Samuels or whatnot, and then get 16 bars of spoken word, it's like, whoa. It makes me question if he has anything left in the chamber. And I don't want to ever question, somebody like Jay who's given us this lengthy of a career and this much material, because I think he still can do it, but this gives me doubts. Thumbs up in the
First of
chat,
all,
y'all.
I'm going to go back and count, Mike. I'm not even sure if it's 16
I'm
bars.
not
It
sure
might be
either.
12. I
Yeah,
think it's 12.
it felt more like
I
12.
mean, just off listen, I mean, you know, once you've MC'd, your mind kind of work on the metronome where you can
Right.
kind of like call it after a while. But I was like, because that was my first thought, Mike. I was like, this isn't even 16 bars of spoken word. I was like, I'm pretty sure you just hit us with 12.
Well, the reason why I guess I didn't even really know off of reflex is the fact that, you know, from the structural standpoint, I couldn't tell where the hook and all that stuff was anyway.
No. I understand. No, I understand
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. That's why I was kind of questioning myself. I was like, is this even 16 bars?
Right. King
And
T'Challa.
then there's the. Go ahead.
My
No,
bad.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
we got King T'Challa in the building. With the super chat, he says Jay-Z gave us his Big Rube impression, and I almost read that. I almost read that in a Andre 3000 way. Remember, he said, and then I delved into my Big Rube impression.
Outcast, pronounced outcast. Adjective meaning homeless or unaccepted.
Big Rube would be insulted by that display. Big Rube's not going to give you 12 bars. Ill Magic with the super chat says, K. Dot somewhat gets a pass for spoken word. He gave us an album and performance where he did the spoken word thing. So you kind of expect that from him. I don't expect that from him. No. He doesn't get a pass to do that on a record where Jeezy, I would imagine, paid him and J. Cole for a feature. And I remember them marketing that as well. And that's what made me think about that record, because the whole buzz for that whole week was, Jeezy got a record with J. Cole and Kendrick. We're about to see what's what. J. Cole gets in there and raps and Kendrick gets in there and sings. That's a cop-out.
First of all, it's a weak-ass move. Second of all, we not handing out no passes about spoken word Kendrick. Listen, this is worse than what happened to Kane. It's worse than what happened to Snoop. There's never been a drop-off like this. Nobody in the history of rap needs to spin the block and make a great rap album the way Kendrick does. And I'm not handing out any passes to him. Like, I'm going to keep on saying it. And a Baby King Kendrick project, that ain't about to cut it. So he don't get no passes over here. He need to spin the block in a way nobody's had to spin the block before. I'm going to say this again. This is worse than when Kane fell off. This is worse than when Snoop fell off. It's worse than that because the product is worse.
I know Baby Keem's his cousin, and I'm not sure, you know what I'm saying, like how much input Keem has on, you know, who we know is Kendrick. Maybe he's a behind the scene, not saying he's a ghostwriter or anything, but maybe he's like one of those Shane, is it Shane? With Nerd. Maybe he's just, I would say Jerobi. Maybe he's the spirit of Kendrick or something like that. I don't know. But as an MC and as an artist and as a hip hop fan, I don't want to see him make an album with Kendrick. I don't think he's that dope like that. No, I don't need those two guys trading bars at all. As a consumer, as a hip hop fan, I don't want to see that. And I've never heard anybody sit here and say, yo, Baby Keem, one of the best MCs in the game. Never heard that one. Maul with the super chat says, what was the last good Jay song with no feature and had a chorus?
Well, that's what I'm speaking to, Mike. That's why I'm asking. It's like, okay, now the NBA has the rule, and I kind of like the rule, even though it's unfair for some of the older players like LeBron and KD and Steph, who might get injured or need to sit down for a while just to get some rest to get ready for the playoffs. But if you don't play 65 games, you don't get to make one of the 3 All-NBA teams, which also like affects your money. And I like that because there's been too much, shout out the creaky knees, there's been too much load management going on.
Well, that's what happens, man. When you abuse the system, rules change.
Yeah. The system, like, you know, like I always tell people, it's like, oh no, the police job is to stay one step ahead of the criminals. So if the criminals get smarter, the system's going to get smarter to catch you and to trap you.
Exactly. That's what rules are put in place for. Like, you know, you kind of keep things wide open. But like you said, when people violate, it's like, okay, well, we got to stop that from happening. That's why we got to put this in place.
I mean, not being funny, it's like, you used to be able to move keys through the airport, Mike.
I would imagine.
That's how all this Pablo shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could literally put it in a briefcase and walk through customs. You know, some women used to put it in some nefarious places, walk right on through. Oh no, you can't do that anymore, Mike. You walk through the machine now, they got you like this. Because they understand.
And I would imagine the punishment is way more severe than it used to be as well.
Oh yeah, they handing out murder charges for blow.
Yeah.
And for weed. It's wild. But I say all that to say, when is the last time that he was even eligible to really be talked about as even one of the, like, let's treat it like an all NBA team where there's a first, second, and third team? When's the last time that he's really even been one of the best 15 MCs, like where he would actually have any eligibility?
I think his eligible years would be 17 with 444 and what was that? 13 with Holy Grail. In my personal opinion, those aren't very strong years. And I think he would probably register because they were weaker years abroad. But as far as like really being legitimately an all-star, I would say 09 with Blueprint 3, in my personal opinion.
So how about this? Let's say he's like all rap third team in 13 and 17.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me the last time this guy made first team was 2009?
Yeah.
What ball player do you know could go that long without making an all NBA team and be considered still the best ever? Like, well, imagine Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson not making first team all NBA.
But Coop, you know what? And I feel what you're saying. Or
even second or third team.
I feel what you're saying. That's always been my Eminem argument too. And he's gone 20-something years without being legitimately. But I think saying all that to say, and I'm not trying to get on that soapbox. I'm just saying that music's different because when people have you emotionally and you become a fan, and that's why, the music industry really operates on making people fans of folks. Once that person has you, you're holding on to those moments. You're holding on to the highs. And you kind of ignore the lows. I mean, I do that with Ghostface all the time. Not saying that Ghost ain't making great music, but when I think of Ghostface, I think of Supreme Clientele.
Supreme Clientele. Yeah. That's why I brought up the Kareem statement. It's like, oh no, this ain't Kareem with Oscar Robertson on the Milwaukee Bucks averaging 33, 34, 35 points a game. Yeah. That's the J that you're holding on to. It's like, no, that was Kareem in 1971, 72, 73, 74. The guy that we saw as a child in like 88, that guy averaged 10 points. And it's like, at some point, you have to understand that both of those people exist. You know what I'm saying? Now, here's the thing. Even with Kareem had done so much that he's still in argument and discussion. It's very rare that you make a top 5 list that Kareem doesn't make. In a lot of people's estimation, top 3.
That's why it's so special what LeBron's doing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's unheard of. That's why it's so special what Nas is doing right now. It's unheard of.
That's why they were in a commercial together last year, Mike, because it's literally unheard of what the two of them are doing.
Yeah.
And I say this to say, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, LeBron James, it's like, games permitting, he's probably going to make all NBA second or third team this year, Mike.
As he should.
If he reaches the mark, he's making all NBA second or third team. Mike, so are Steph and KD. Like, those 3 guys, although they're all over 35 now, LeBron being the elder of them, they're still 3 of the 15 best players in the league. And as long as they make the mark, their literal numbers and output show that they're still 3 of the best 15 players in the NBA. Do I think that they're better than Embiid or Jokic or Giannis at this point? No, I do not. But they're going to make an all-NBA team if they reach the benchmark for it. And so when we elevate him, when he's not even reaching the benchmark, and you're telling me he's actually only reached that mark twice in the past decade, and it probably wouldn't be a first-team nomination, it'd be more like a third-team nomination, we do have to talk about his legendary status
and where
exactly it falls. Because is it better to do this long like this and to come up short, essentially, the way that you're saying he has since 2009? Or is it better to just kind of like have a Jim Brown, Barry Sanders type of career where it's like, nope, I was the best for about 10 years and I was better than everybody else and I walked away?
I'm gonna answer your question. Let me get to these super chats real quick. Ill Magic said, "Good point. Can't argue that." Not sure which point he was talking about because I'm kind of behind on these. Peter Parks with the super chat says, the song just doesn't go anywhere here. Artists need friction to have something to create. This song proves sometimes artists don't have enough to push against to make something good.
I don't buy that. Inspiration is everywhere, Mike.
It
I
is.
hate giving.
It
I hate giving
changes.
artists. I hate giving artists the cop out of, oh well, they're just not inspired anymore. No, that's what makes. That's the part about. That's the most special part about what Nas just did. That's what I keep on saying. This is like, man, his well runs this deep. You know what I mean? Like the well of inspiration runs that deep that he's really running in here with this producer and just coming up with stuff like on the fly, Mike. It's like, so no, it's like that's the part where it's changed everything. It's like, no, you don't get that excuse anymore.
I want to answer your Jim Brown question, and because that's a really, really good point. Because let's look at Rakim and let's look at LL. Because I'm going to take it back, right? You know, Rakim, right. You know, Eric B. and Rakim, that was what, 87 to 92.
Yep, 5 years.
Yeah. LL, what, 86 to, let's just say 03. In 03, when LL was doing what he was doing and came out with, you know, and I know he's made albums after that, but Love You Better is probably the last, you know, big LL song classic from a quality standpoint that is LL and LL. And we know that belongs on the greatest hits. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's the last classic LL song. Yeah.
Right. And so back in 03 when that happened, it's like, well, nobody's done this before. And we're giving those things praise on that level. But what has happened over time is, even though there are just a handful of people who've done it, I mean, like I said, Ghostface, Ray, Method Man even, Jadakiss, a lot more guys are having a lot more longevity than they used to. So when Jay was giving us that longevity, let's just say when he made American Gangster in 07, he came out in 96. 07 is 11 years in. Back then, that seemed like a long stretch of greatness. But now things are different, and we can't just say, okay, well, you do some spot shooting here and there. You just have that GOAT spot locked because of how long you've been here. Guys who were here before you are still making full efforts that are really good efforts. You know what I'm saying? So those points don't apply like they used to in 07 and 09. And so to answer your question, you got to have quality with the longevity as well. And I would rather, and I understand Jay has a predicament here. Anything that he puts out, especially him being married to Beyonce and them being superstars on every level, anything he puts out, he can't just go out there and make a modest album that doesn't do numbers. And again, he's kind of put himself in that vein as well. He can't take those level of chances. It's kind of like a Michael Jackson and Prince thing, right? Michael was so big. Michael couldn't go out there and take the chances that Prince could take as an artist because it really wasn't about if Prince sold any records or not. You know what I'm saying? Jay kind of is in that spot, but at the end of the day, I don't know if he's trying to break that spot by doing spoken word. I don't know who this is supposed to speak to, but we came to Jay for bangers. Is that fair to say?
Okay, so, you know, here's the thing. If I have one critique of Michael Jackson, it's this. For everything that he did, I wish he would have gotten to a place that he just didn't give a fuck the way Prince didn't give a fuck and make the music that he wanted to make. Because, Mike, literally... He tried
to please everybody.
Because, I mean, and you and I have talked about this, Purple Rain is Prince's response to Thriller.
Yeah.
And
track
for track. But once he made Purple Rain, Mike, and once he did Michael Jackson type numbers, from that moment on, he did what the fuck he wanted. He's like, I'm good. Because his whole thing was, I can do that too. Now I'm going to go back to doing what the fuck I want.
Right.
And I wish that Mike would have done that later on.
It was important. It was important
for
Michael to sell records, and it wasn't that important for Prince to sell records. Yeah.
But to who?
No, I'm talking about to him. He made it a point to himself whenever he stepped in there, he wanted to sell records. Prince that wasn't Prince's first focus, and that's why, like you said, Prince was able to do a monster album like Purple Rain, and then go do, Under the Cherry
Parade.
Moon. Yeah,
Around the world.
around the
in a day.
world in a day. It's like, yeah, I'm cool with doing this, but here comes Mike, like, yo, I got a top Thriller. I'm gonna do bad. I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? And this is why Prince was able to make A Sign of the Times, because he didn't give a fuck.
Correct. So let's go to that. Let's go to another long ass song. You know about It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night on Sign of the Times?
Yeah, incredible.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant live instrumentation. That's why I'm saying it's like, no, if you're gonna do a 7, 8, 9 minute song, it needs to catch you. It needs to be impactful. It needs to be funky. It needs to be a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like when I listen to It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night, I forget that the song is damn near 7 songs. And then the song after it is Adore, which is, guess what? Damn near 7 minutes long too.
But
they're masterfully done.
Yeah.
You forget how long the song is because of how brilliant it is. When a record comes on, and like after Jay's part, I looked down at the time and I was like, oh no, this ain't. I was like, Mike, I was literally waiting for him to rap again. I was like, this nigga better rap again.
He came in the middle of the record. Yeah.
I was like, something need to happen. The beat need to switch. They need to take the snare out and add some more. I was like, something need to happen. Somebody need to come with a saxophone somewhere. Like,
to your Adore and It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night point, and that's on point. One of my favorite songs, period, is Knee Deep by Parliament Funkadelic. That song is like 13, 14 minutes long. It doesn't feel like it because it's so
funky.
many nuances into that record. If you're going to make a long song, you got to do a lot. It's a lot of work.
You do.
And even with Liberation, we were
hard.
talking about earlier. Liberation has Erykah Badu, has CeeLo on it, Deborah Killings on it, Andre, Big Boy, Big Rube, and a whole band. It's a collective. So it's room for all of those people on that record.
Takes a village, Mike.
Yeah.
It takes a village.
And Parliament Funkadelic was a whole gang.
You're doing a 9-minute song in 2024 where Jay only got 12 bars, D'Angelo barely sings, and a guy, in no disrespect, that we really don't even know like that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It is.
Like, they should be ashamed of themselves. Like, everybody involved.
I agree.
Everybody involved, behind the scenes, producer, engineer, band, artist, A&R, if there fucking is one, everybody should be embarrassed. This is a travesty of a record.
Clayton is asleep.
And a tragedy.
Travesty and a tragedy.
It's
Clayton,
a travesty and a tragedy.
Clayton is asleep.
Alliteration.
Super chat says at least Ghostface had Sour Soul with the Bad Bag Not Good in 2015. I thought it was dope. And Lost Tapes. And we talked about Lost Tapes. That was dope. With the Big Ghost in 2018. 444 ain't messing with either of those for me. I'm not mad at that. I agree. 100%. I think we got another one. Humble Bragger with the super chat says, I'm the inspiration. I ain't have to look for none. Nas. Now what Nas just did is starting to get downplayed. Have you noticed? Coincidence? I think not. That's funny you say that. And that reminds me, actually.
I don't want to make this about Nas, but I keep on bringing him up because he is the GOAT and therefore is the litmus test by which everybody else should be gauged and judged. And so that's why I don't want to hear this. He's out of inspiration. It's like, nah, the GOAT ain't out of inspiration. That's what you do.
Well,
it's like,
now that you mentioned that, and not to cut you off, Humble Bragger brought up something that I told Ron Vay I was actually going to read this on air because he said something in a similar vein. He said, and he was responding to our show on Monday because we were doing like predictions on what this song was going to be about and what a new Jay-Z album sounds like. This is what Ron Vay texted me Tuesday. He said, if you want to know what a Jay-Z album sounds like in 2024, look to Nas. Nas always sets Jay's blueprint, pun intended. Nas made Untitled, his military pro-black album, the album that Jay and L.A. Reid made him change the title to. Jay's been riding the black excellence wave since it became trendy. Nas made Life is Good, a mature rap album that addresses his marriage. Jay makes 444. If Jay made an album today, he would bite some elements from KD or the Magic series, perhaps the remnants subject matter, perhaps the linking with one producer as far as the concept. Nas is always his North Star. Nas does first, and then Jay eventually follows. Tweaks the concept and slightly to fit him, runs with it, and makes the world believe he originated through media. What do you think about that?
It's a fine line, because to say something like that is taking away from some of Jay's genius, and I don't want to tear him down in that manner, but there's some resemblance of the truth in those things. Like, how about this? Definitely the Life is Good, the 444 thing. Yeah, that I feel, because essentially Jay-Z's 444 is his Life is Good, except for it's not that good, because he's not good at that stuff. And this is what I'm saying is like, well, how do we accurately assess this? You know, the thing for me about Michael Jordan wasn't that he was the greatest player of all time, Mike. It's that I thought there was a gap between him and whoever is number two. And although I do feel like LeBron's late run has closed that gap, for the most part, it's been a gap in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the reality of the matter. I love Kareem. I love Magic. They played together.
Yeah.
And before Kareem had Magic, he had Oscar Robertson. So I want you to understand, at the time,
they had Worthy too. We can't leave him out.
I'm bringing up the point guard situation right quick because he's a big man.
Gotcha.
At the time that Kareem retired, he had literally spent his entire career, with the exception of a few years in the middle, playing with two of the three greatest point guards of all time at the time, in Oscar Robertson and Magic Johnson, with Isaiah Thomas somewhere in that mix. You get what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Well, that's why there's a gap between him and Mike if you felt like Kareem was number two, because, well, the best player that Mike played with was Scotty. I love Scotty. He ain't no damn Magic or Oscar Robertson.
No, he's not. You know,
he's closer to Worthy. He's closer to Worthy. Imagine Kareem winning titles with Worthy. You feel what I'm saying? That's kind of what Mike did. You know what I'm saying?
That speaking of Michael, did you see that Chicago Bulls like ceremony or whatnot that they did? I think it was yesterday or something. It was something about the rings, but they were celebrating the 6 championships, and they brought a lot of guys back. And Michael wasn't able to make it, but he sent them a video, and so if people are reacting like, look, if Michael wasn't available, you changed the date. It's crazy that this organization has 6 championships, right? I mean, for the whole duration of the organization. This man has all 6 finals MVPs. Yeah, if he can't make it, you got to change it. Or if it's because Scotty was there and he don't fuck with Scotty, somebody's got to be uninvited, unfortunately. There is no rings without this individual, but he sent them a nice video. He said all the right things. He was in his house. He was like, I hate I can't make it. I appreciate the people of Chicago. Love you guys, yada, yada. But it's like, how do you have a ring ceremony for an organization who won 6 championships and the guy who won all 6 of your finals MVPs had a schedule conflict?
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. How many titles do the Golden State Warriors have as an organization now? I know they've won 4 in this era, but didn't they win 2 before? So
yeah, something like that. Yeah, something like that.
So aren't they tied for third in Chicago, and Golden State tied for third all time in championships after Boston and LA, actually? And San Antonio has 5, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So they're in third place all time in terms of championships, which should let you know how hard it really is to win a championship as an organization.
Yeah.
Because outside of the Lakers and the Celtics, it's super, super hard to win a fucking championship.
Yeah.
And the fact that man won 6 titles for an organization that, quite frankly, existed about 20, 25 years before he came along, and it's been about 20, 25 years since he's been gone, they just wild.
They didn't win before him nor after him. And he won all 6 finals MVPs. What does that tell you?
He's the GOAT.
Right. Peter.
But what I'm saying is that, I said this, we did a station head earlier this week on Monday. I did a Monday night station head in the rain with Hip Hop Talks. Shout out to Sean and Adriel. And with Fresh Out, shout out to Iceberg and the crew.
Shout out to them, man.
Yeah. No. They're great. They're doing wonderful things. I'm happy for all their success and growth on both sides. It's a blessing. It's good to see. It's a beautiful thing to be in this space with brothers like that. You know, I talked about, well, there's the part of it and the side of it where it's like we have to give Nas his props for what he's doing and elevate him because of that. But at some point, we got to start docking these other niggas.
It's true.
It's like,
or just putting him up
like,
there where, you know, it's going to take a lot to catch. I mean, that's already the
but what I'm saying is that, well, that's why I brought up the Rakim thing, Mike. It's like, well, I'd rather hear, like, when's the last time Rakim made an album? I feel like The Seventh Seal was his last album. I feel like that was like.
I'm trying to think what year that was. We can look it up real quick.
Yeah. Let's look it up right quick. Because what I'm saying when I'm talking about knocking people down, it's like, oh no, he can't keep on doing this and even be the second greatest MC of all time. You feel me?
That's fair.
Because it's better at some point to step away from the game than to be going out here and putting up 10 when we expecting you to go get 30 to 35.
The seventh
like, don't nobody want to see you. Nobody
09.
wants to see you get 10 points, fam. Like, I say that as somebody that loves him as an artist and respects him as a businessman and appreciates a lot of the things that he does for our community behind the scenes. As far as this rap shit go, I don't want to see you score 10 points, fam.
Well, Ra has the Eric B. and Rakim catalog, as we know, right? That's from 87 to 92, I believe, right? And then his solo catalog, it's 97 to 09. So he dropped the 18th letter in 97, the master in 99, and then he took a 10-year hiatus and dropped the Seventh Seal. So the last Rakim album that we got was 15 years ago.
Okay. Listen to what I'm about to say. Are you sure Jay's better than Rakim now?
Let me get to the super chat real quick. And
you see what I'm saying about how at some point we got to start docking dudes? It's like, well, hold on. It's like, well, Rakim has Paid in Full, Follow the Leader, Let the Rhythm Hit Him. And I believe those 3 albums are better than Jay's 3 best albums, in my opinion. Because Paid in Full is better than everything Jay's made, in my opinion.
I'm with that. I mean, it could be argued Reasonable Doubt and Paid in Full. I personally would go Paid in Full, but it could be argued.
I don't think that's an argument, but okay. Because there's not enough classic songs on Reasonable Doubt to fuck with Paid in Full.
Listen, you know how I feel about Paid in Full. I think Paid in Full has 3 top 50 hip-hop songs all time on it.
And it's got 4 or 5 that deserve honor. It's got another 2 or 3 that deserve some honorable mention.
For real.
Yeah. Like if we're doing a top 100 songs list, almost all the rap songs in Paid in Full are going to make it.
It can have 5 on
We can't say that about Reasonable.
And we're not just saying that. And for the audience out there who think we just talking shit, Eric B is president. I ain't no joke. Check out my melody. Paid in Full itself. And I know you got Soul. That's 5.
Yeah. That's 5.
Yeah. Peter Parks of the
Super Chat. He's got 5 top 100 songs on one album.
Yeah, it is what it is. Peter Parks of the Super Chat says, Coop, not all artists are Nas. Nas is special, is a special kind of special. Some artists' inspiration just don't run that deep. They only good for a time. Let me catch up with these Super Chats. Iceberg Slim with the Super Chat says, salute to King Coop, Mike D in the chat. Happy Friday, Iceberg Slim. We appreciate y'all.
Peace, brother.
What else we got here? I think we got another super chat here. We got BCMD Dub with the super chat says, I got it. Jay-Z can do a spoken word album over Andre flute instrumentals. Yeah. See, all the New York people that was coming at us about the Andre thing. What you think about spoken word jigger? Humble Bragger with the super chat says, I always felt like Death of Auto-Tune was a Nas ripoff. It was very Nas-ish when Nas did Hip Hop Is Dead. Am I lying? Never thought about that.
I never thought about it. Right.
Me either. Yeah. Mad Max with the super chat says, bro, Coop be caping for Bron. His late run has been overrated. He's pretty much been a cancer to these franchises. Are you trolling, Mad Max? Come on, man. You can't say that.
First
Somebody's 21 years in.
Everybody that watches this show, Mike, and that listens to the show knows that KD is my guy. But there is no denying who the best player in this generation is.
Yeah.
And there's no denying what LeBron is doing. And
You
I'm
show
giving
me.
that man his just due and respect that he has earned.
Show
No
me
more, no less.
anybody in basketball 20, 21 years in that is doing an iota of what this guy is doing.
Right.
Ever.
Like I said, like, we'll see what KD and Steph are doing in 3 years and have this conversation because they're next up to bat.
Mad Max has more smoke. He says, well, I never had Hove over Rakim. I got Hove fourth, below Nas, Rakim, and LL. Pac, my GOAT, but I had to put him fifth off of objectivity. But you and Mike got to drop Jay down or stop. He to talk because you contradicting yourself. I mean,
that's what I mean,
that's
Mike.
what you
It's
said.
Like, or how about this? For the metrics and the standards that we hold our MCs to, if he was, how about this? If KRS-One did this, we wouldn't hold him as high. If Ice Cube did this, we wouldn't hold him as high.
Well, see,
we would knock him down some, wouldn't we?
This is the thing.
Mad Max, Mike, about once every 15 shows that we do, Mad Max makes a good point. This might be the one in 15. We probably won't get another one until June or July.
I think this is the thing, though. I think that the reason why Jay's indiscretions are so blaring is because of how big he is, right? And I think that for many people on a mainstream level who feels like he has that coveted number one spot on lock, I think that it makes things like this even more blaring.
Mike, I feel
it's no
you,
excuses, but I feel what you're saying.
Right, yeah, Mike, I don't really give a shit about that because he's the one that wanted to be big like that, and you're going to take what comes with it. Period.
What is there to do, though? I mean, if maybe he does, let's just say this. Maybe he doesn't have it anymore like that. Does that take away everything that he's done? Or are you just saying we got to elevate the people who still do have it?
We have to elevate the people who still do have it, and we also have to look back at who knew when to say when. That's why I'm bringing Rakim back up. It's like, so we got the Force 4 album run with Paid in Full, Follow the Leader, Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em, Don't Sweat the Technique, right? Then we got the 18th Letter. Then we got the Master, and then we got the 7th Seal. So he's got 8 projects. What I'm saying is that if we pull up Jay's best 8 projects, are you sure?
Well, see, he has more than the 8 projects. That's what, Leroy Green would say. And I'm glad Leroy Green is in the building.
But this is what I'm saying when I say this is like, Mike, and we've had this conversation. If you saw Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders play football at the same time, Emmitt played longer, but nobody really thought Emmitt Smith was better than Barry Sanders.
That's fair.
Playing long and accumulating numbers and accolades does not necessarily make you the best ever. Barry Sanders ran for over 1,300 yards every season he played football, except for the one season he got hurt. And Mike, he got hurt in Game 10 and still ran for 1,100 yards that season.
Well, I think hearing Jay
over 5 yards a carry multiple seasons.
I'm with you, but I do think hearing Jay in his lyrical prime, you could say, okay, this guy's one of the best. Like, I remember, even when you heard, like, What More Can I Say and, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, when you just hear the dude rhyme, like, yeah, you can't deny that he's one of the best. And then you back the catalog and everything else with that. I think it's a legitimate conversation. But I do agree with knowing when to say when. I was going to ask you, though. Let's just say hypothetically, in 2003, dropped the Black Album and he really did retire. Does that change anything?
Okay, Mike, if he stops at the Black Album, we're definitely putting Rakim ahead of him. Yeah.
Well,
like, definitely. That's what I'm saying. Like, when you're talking about those moments that he had, it's like, no, I remember the 7th Seal has Holy Are You on there. The record You and I, it's like, no, the 18th Letter got The Saga Begins in New York, and it's been a long time.
Okay,
like,
so
no.
you're saying if he stops at the Black Album, you're definitely putting Rakim above him, but you got Reasonable Doubt, Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, The Dynasty, The Blueprint 2, and then the Black Album. I think that's and then not to mention all the stuff in between and all the features and things like that.
It's not more classic than Rakim, no.
Huh. That would be an
Not
interesting. That would be an
like, how
interesting
about
song
this?
for song matchup. If we did like a station head with that, that would be interesting.
Like, how about this? I love Jay. Jay don't have no mic performance like "Let the Rhythm Hit Him."
But does Rakim have a song cry? Does Rakim have a? Well, shit.
Yes, Mahogany.
Huh.
He does. Yes, he does. It's called
Streets is
Mahogany.
watching.
Know the Ledge.
The Evils.
He doesn't have it. The Evils. Very few rappers do. That's probably
Yeah.
Jay's gem, though. But that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. It's like you're asking if he's got a Streets is Watching. It's like, Mike, Know the Ledge is better than Streets is Watching.
It is.
Mahogany's better than
And I love
Song
both
Cry.
records. Both are 10s.
Mike, Mahogany's better than Song Cry.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Shit.
No, I don't think I agree with that one. Mad Max with the super
Mike.
chat says,
That's the song that Primo and Nas sampled to kick off Nas's carear.
I
That
agree with
song's
that,
like
but
that.
I mean, that's a fact, but I don't know.
Mike, put Mahogany versus Song Cry up in the chat, Mike.
You know what? Let me get my other laptop out. I'm going to do that. Give me 1 second. Mad Max with the super chat says, the problem is, Mike, that you and Coop don't hold Jay's prime work in high of esteem, and you'll say that 12 guys have better music than him, but have him too. That don't make sense.
Mike, I talk about Volume 1 more than any motherfucker in this space. What the hell is Mad Max talking about? I talk about Volume 1 more than anybody else. That's
Listen,
crazy talk.
I think Jay's catalog is, from a full body of work, is better than everybody's, with the exception of Nas.
You sure about that? Common and Scarface? Are you sure? That's what I'm saying. Like,
I would feel comfortable going in a song for song
That's you looking
matchup.
at it through that. That's you looking at it through that 07, 08, 09.
Maybe
lens.
I
It's
am.
like, oh no, Scarface and Common at this point have better catalogs than Jay end to end.
But see,
We're just being honest.
I don't want 10-point average seasons to throw us off into thinking that, his catalog before wasn't like what it really was. We need a
Here's what I'm
reminder.
saying. No, but here's what I'm saying, Mike. When Kareem averaged 10 points one season, he walked away, Mike. This dude been averaging 10 points for a while now.
I think he's quietly walked away. I really do. I mean, because what? We're in 2024. Last album was 2017. And we're getting spoken word verses. I think he's quietly walked away.
Okay, so this is why I'm
I
saying
hope
let's
not.
have the Rakim conversation. So if he came in '96 and quote unquote stepped away quietly in 2017, that's 21 years, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you said Rakim's last album was when?
2009.
And when did he step in? 87?
Yep.
It's 22 years, Mike. Now who
It
got
is.
more classic records?
It's a fair matchup. And and I
Who's
think
the better?
what
Mike,
makes this
Mike, this is what I'm saying. Like, who's the better lyricist?
Oh, that's Rakim.
Who's got the better voice?
It's Rakim.
Who's got the more classic songs?
I would say Rakim for the high moments, but who has more classic songs? That would have to probably be Jay. Just
Are
on
you
volume.
sure? This is what I'm saying, Mike. Do you think "Dirt Off Your Shoulders" is a classic?
No, I don't really dig that record.
Right.
like
Is
that.
Izzo a classic?
You see, you're naming. you're picking and choosing.
I'm naming big records from him.
Izzo wasn't a big record, was it? It was important for Ye and the Blueprint
It was
rollout.
the first single off the Blueprint, Mike. Let's not ever forget that. That's the first single off the
PSA is a big
Blueprint.
record, which wasn't a single officially.
So this is what I'm saying is that Rakim's big records were also singles.
It's true. And
So,
during
are
the time, and
so are you sure?
I want to say this too, not to cut you off. Rakim did it. He made these big records during a time where radio wasn't even playing hip hop, and so that's a little different.
So that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
Mike. So if their careers, quote unquote, are comparable, as in 21 years, 22 years, the classic albums are comparable because I feel like they're both holding a definite 3. You might give Jay a slight edge on the albums. But where's Jay better than Rakim in that 21, 22 year span except for making quote unquote hit records. But then it's like, oh, well, no, Rakim's hit records are like Microphone Fiend, Eric B is President,
Yeah.
My Melody, I Know You Got Soul, Follow the Leader. It's like Jay's hit singles aren't better than that. Are you sure?
Fair. And I think
that's what I mean about we have to be honest and start like really like paying attention and not get caught up. Like we watched the peak of Jay's run, and so for us, we're kind of like in a place where it's like, ooh. But there were people who watched Rakim's run who literally still tell me to this day that Rakim is still better than Nas.
Yeah. I mean, when you and I got on Star's show, you know, he had Rakim over Nas. And we had that conversation.
He didn't even put Nas in his top 5 because he's like, how can I have Nas in my top 5 when Rakim exists?
Yeah, he said Rakim is, you know, is the blueprint of Nas. So, I mean, you're right. One of the things that, like I said, one of the things, like I said, that I didn't factor in before, and if we talk about the hits and we talk about the classics, Rakim did this in an era before radio even played hip-hop music on a national level. And that goes a very long way. And who's to say if Rakim was playing in that same field with the same music in the same era that Jay did it, how big would these records be?
Correct.
And that's a fair
That's what I'm saying. It's like when I start looking at it, it's like, oh, I don't know. What does Jay have over Rakim? Mike, what does Jay have over Tupac? Definitely doesn't have no classic
Some would
songs.
say lyrical skills, but...
Right. Can Jay write a Dear Mama? Because Mama Loves Me ain't Dear Mama.
It's not. It's not even close.
You feel me?
No, you're right. Who is the better songwriter?
Girls isn't I Get Around.
I don't know if that's a fair comparison because Jay took that song on by himself. Whereas, you know, podcast some help on that one. By the Underground.
You talking about Shock G for 16 bars, Mike? Or is that what you're doing? Is that what you're doing?
We know who has the most memorable part.
How about this, Mike? Girls, or How Do You Want It?
See, there you go. Yeah. No question.
What I'm saying. And so we just need to start having some honest conversations. And that's what I mean. It's like, oh no, if we're elevating Nas for what he's done, and that's officially the new standard, then we have to start looking at everybody's shit and being like, well, do you deserve to be right there? Do you deserve to be right there? Do you deserve to be right there? Because it's like, when I look at what Ice Cube did, Mike, and the way that, that's what I'm saying. Is it better to kind of just leave the way you left? Because it's like, Mike, Ice Cube got more classic albums than he has just good albums. You understand that, right?
No, he does.
He made more classic rap albums than he did make just good rap albums. It's like, I don't know.
Straight Outta Compton's in there too. You know what? Mahogany's actually blowing out Song Cry in the poll right now, but it's only like 30 votes. Shout out to everybody in the room. The poll's up. Thumbs up in the chat. We got like 250 people in here. Mad Max with the super chat says, Coop, you said Scarface is better music now. Common, come on. But you hold him high. Stop it. I mean,
Common's made a lot of dope ass albums, Mike.
Common's catalog is crazy. Now, again, I don't think, you know,
it's been a minute since he made something good too, though.
It has. I would say Black America again was dope, but again,
that was the last one,
and that was 2017 or 16, something like that.
I feel like that.
I think 16, the thing is, man, it's entertainment, right? And the ones who are the most entertaining throughout, they have the biggest hill to climb when it comes to the longevity game. Listening to the 21 Savage album today, or this morning rather, man, it's so much to talk about on that. I know we're going to cover that on our Monday show, but on the intro, well, the album's called American Dream. And at the intro, he has his mother speaking with her British accent, you know, talking about the fact that she brought her son over here for a better life, and he was able to accomplish that. And it's almost like, it feels like this is what Rebranding is, right? This is like his first album. My thing is, why couldn't these things have been said in 2016? You know what I'm saying? And again, me being from Atlanta and the Atlanta area, I do feel a way about the fact that we thought this was something that it wasn't. But when I listened to 21 Savage, and as soon as that intro hit, and then he came with that first song where he's talking all the gunplay and all that stuff and whatever, and I'm bobbing my head to it, I'm like, this is just sheer entertainment. I can't buy into this individual. Like you said, Tupac was somebody that we could buy into and be entertained by because he was really giving you his life. He was giving you his truth. He was giving you Dear Mama. He was giving you his real introspective thoughts and his experiences.
And he was entertaining, Mike.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
this is just straight entertainment.
Right. So when I hear a Jay-Z spoken word, like in year like 27, it's like, part of me is like, well, this is why on my personal list I have Tupac higher. This is why on my personal list I have Rakim higher. This is why on my personal list I have Scarface higher.
Yeah.
Because it's like, when I really look at it, it's like, okay, it's like, I understand. Now, if we're talking about, this is what I'm saying, about separating it too and really being accurate about it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if we're talking about greatest runs ever, Rakim, Jay-Z.
Yeah.
However you feel. Because you and I were around for the Jay thing, and I remember the old heads used to tell me, be like, ain't nobody been this big since Rakim.
Mm.
So if we're talking about a run for like a 5-year period, oh yeah, that puts Jay in the GOAT conversation just off that. But the sustainability part of it, like, and a lot of other factors that come into play, it's like, when's the last time, think about this, Mike, who had our verse of the year in 2020?
Rakim.
When the last time Jay had a verse of the year, Mike? Even a contender.
God did.
It's time to go, Mike.
But what I was going to say, though, when the entertainment value runs out, what do you have? And I think that's the overall theme of this show or this episode or whatnot. And I think that's where we're at when it comes to, you know, Jay's run, his illustrious career. And I still think he's at that number 2 spot. But we got to see what this artist can give us if it's not the most entertaining thing, if it's not the stuff that we're popping bottles to, if it's not the stuff that, you know what I'm saying, we're riding out and, you know what I'm saying, like you said, when you bring up Pop and a song like How Do You Want It, that's a banger that sounds like it's for the ladies, but he's giving you all kind of jewels in there.
See, Dolores Tucker, you's a motherfucker. Instead of trying to help a nigga, you destroyed the brother. Worse than the others, Bill Clinton, Mr. Bob Dole. You too old to understand the way the game's told. You lame, so I gotta hit you with the hot facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mad Max
it's different, Mike.
Yeah.
Mike, but that's that Rakim shit. Like, Rakim would make a song that would make you dance, but he'd be dropping knowledge on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to do.
I mean, Jay even acknowledged that on the Rap Radar podcast when he was talking about his bars on, what song was that? I'm having a brain fart right now, but it was on Paid in Full, where he was like, constant elevation, mind expansion.
You got that from I Know You Got Soul.
Yeah. Not I Know You Got Soul. I think that's the beat's in my head. It'll come to me in a minute. But yeah, that's a banger where he's still dropping jewels. Mad Max with the super chat.
I Know You Got Soul. Constant elevation causes expansions. I write rhymes while I cool in my mansion.
Yeah, it is.
That's I Know You Got Soul.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the other record.
There's so many classic Rakim songs to go through. I know, Mike.
Everything on Paid in Full is classic. Mad Max with the super chat says, I got Rakim, but Rakim wouldn't thrive on radio in any era, bro. Radio is a different game. Rakim didn't have hooks. How you sell that? He came out in the right era. You don't think Paid in Full would have gotten played on the radio?
Jay don't have hooks like that, Mike. That's what I'm saying.
But he found a way to get hooks, whether it was somebody else doing the hook or...
And who's to say if Rakim would have been around in 96 that he wouldn't have adjusted and did the same thing? That's what I'm saying.
I mean, let's look at Biggie. You think Biggie's hook game was crazy, or was that more so, you know what I'm saying, the Bad Boy Collective? Because Juicy...
His hook game is great, but it's not crazy. Like, I don't want to live no more. Sometimes I hear death knocking at my front door.
Well, I'm talking about the radio records.
Crush on You.
Okay.
I don't love the hook to Big Papa. I never really have. Let me think. Crush on You. Shit, Mike, you made a point right there.
I mean, so I don't see why Rakim couldn't do what he was able to do.
Yeah.
And he ruled radio. So, but
so
no.
Look,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
to this 21 thing that you're talking about, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to listen to the album and reserve judgment. But how about this? Is 21 Savage the type of artist where if the production isn't supreme and pristine, can he still thrive? Because when I look at the track listing for this album, well then, Mike, he's not that great. You know what I'm saying?
It's a really good album. It's well put together. You could tell that I won't say he needs a lot of assistance. That's going to sound funny, but yeah. I mean, you know what I mean?
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
There were a lot of hands on deck on this project. And for a consumer, if you're pressing play and you're listening to it from that standpoint, I'm pretty sure if you rock with anything that 21 makes, or if you somewhat rock with anything he makes, you'll like this effort. And I think it's a well put together effort and all of those things. But to me, the theme that they took on, and again, this is rebranding at its finest, where they're trying to make you just totally forget, you know, how he came out initially. Now this is about an artist whose mother, well, at least the theme of the album, because it's called The American Dream, an artist whose mother left the UK and came to, you know, Atlanta, Georgia, so that her son could have a better life. And then it goes into him doing what he normally does, but he doesn't really follow that theme, if that makes any sense. So it's like, okay, that's my story. That's the backstory. But let's get to this Slaughter Gang shit, which is fine from an entertainment standpoint. But if we're talking about,
it's fine. Yeah. Like what I'm trying to stress to you is that how entertaining is he without the backdrop? Listen to the production on this album, Mike. He's got 4 tracks from Metro Boomin, Mike. Mm-hmm. He's got London on a track, Mike. He's got the Honorable C Note on a track, Mike. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's got Cardo on a track. It's like, no, these are great fucking producers who cost a lot of money. Can he just make a great album? Like I told you, Mike, I mean, there's something about when him and Metro work together where it's just like, damn, that really makes sense. That works. But who are you without Metro? Because if Nas is our litmus test, it's like, well, shit, Nas done did that with Primo, Large Professor, Salah Remy, Hit Boy. Give me a producer. Any producer. Yeah, not just one producer that I got to keep going to make my shit entertaining. And so it's like, do I fuck with 21 as tough as you do? No. And am I reserving judgment about this album? I am going to reserve judgment until I hear it because you told me that it was dope and that I needed to listen to it. But he is kind of the type of artist that people from our generation and previous generations feel like is made by the beats. And we don't have any evidence to the contrary, Mike.
Oh, no, he's definitely made by the beats. And, I think he has punchlines here and there. Many of them, some of them sometimes corny. They're not like, saying some stupid metaphors to the point where you're like, oh, how did he think of that type thing? But like you said, he rides the beat. He does all of those things. And you could tell, just based on the class that he's in, he at least attempts to write down coherent thoughts. And I know it sounds sad that we've lowered the bar to that point where it's more so about, who's actually going to rap. And I think I told you this before we got on air. One of the things that I do appreciate about him is the fact that he doesn't fall into that whole, singy-songy auto-tune thing that many of his contemporaries do, like Lil Baby, like Dirt. I like what Gunna does, but Gunna does it a lot where it's like you don't know if you're even going to get a rap verse. Well, at least with him, he's going to rap for even three verses, and even the song with Dirt.
Is that where we're at, Mike?
That's where we're at.
Ahead because it's like, I know he's going to rap. It's like, give me Gunna if that's the case. Like, real talk.
That's where we're at.
Case, give me Gunna.
And I felt like that
Gunna's
about the Offset album. I felt like that about the Offset album.
Like, Gunna didn't have Metro on the last album. The album was still dope.
To me, and if we're going to talk about it all, like in that era and this era of artists from a mainstream standpoint, of course, because I ain't talking about Freddie Gibbs and Benny and nothing like that. Gunna is probably the most impressive because, like you said, we seen him go out there and have everybody walk away from him, and he made some of the stronger songs from a radio standpoint of that whole year. And he has something else coming out too out here.
I mean, not to be funny, it's like Lil Baby has talked about how Gunna helped him get to where he was. How's Lil Baby shit been sounding since he ain't been fucking with Gunna?
Exactly.
Just on a musical level.
Exactly. Yeah, because that last one.
No,
wasn't
that's
it.
what I'm saying. So give me the guy who can stand alone.
Mm-hmm. I could
Like,
tell
who has the
that
capability of standing alone.
on this 21 effort too. I could tell that Drake has been an influence to him. And I'm not saying anybody's writing anybody's stuff, but I do think that Drake's probably in the studio for a few of these records, and you'll probably know which ones I'm talking about when you hear them.
Okay.
So
Cudi dropped the joint too. We need to talk about Monday.
Cudi's such a just from a stylistic standpoint, another one, and he might be the first one of this. You just don't know if he's going to rap or not. And we've
That's
talked
true.
about this before, where it's
His
like
ad-lib, he might ad-lib a whole song, Mike.
Right. It's so tough for us to really sit here on a hip hop podcast where, a lot, everything is not rapidy rap, but it's hard for us to sit here and keep you guys' interest about an album where a person's not really rapping on. Because I remember Young Thug put out an album that we were going to talk about, but it wasn't a lot of rapping on it. It's like, we can't really cover it.
We were like, there's like 2 rap songs on here. It's like, can we talk about it? It's like, the album's dope. It's like, is he rapping? It's like, no. It's like, well, this is according to hip hop.
Because I had the choice of either listening to 21's album or Kid Cudi's album first. I went to 21 because I knew he was going to rap.
He's going to rap.
You know what I mean? Like, so we may talk. I mean, I would love to talk about the Cudi album, but is he rapping?
You heard that new Benny and Hit Boy?
No.
You need to go listen to that.
It came out today?
About that Monday. Yeah. It's better than... I have a feeling that it's going to be better than everything on Cudi and 21's album. To me.
Is it just Hit Boy and Benny, or Benny got somebody on there?
Hit Boy and Benny.
Okay. What do you think about this album?
It actually made me excited for the album for the first time because I've been worried.
I'm kind of worried too. I mean, I've expressed that. I am worried. You
know what? I'll give you this, Mike. Usually when you're worried, that shit usually comes to fruition. And I don't mean that in a good way for the artist. I mean, you're the one that started all... See, people think that it's me. You're the one that started all this Kendrick shit.
I mean, I just take heed to signs, man. Like, if you got fire and you're on a roll, and music is a rhythm, you know what I mean? It's a flow. And
you gotta let the rhythm.
If you got flow going, like what we just saw with the Hit Boy and Nas run, it keeps coming. You know what I mean? But if you're stalling and you're halting and there's gaps, stuff might not be coming out the way that it needs to be coming out. And not saying you can't recover from that, but that's not always the best sign. And then what happens after that, you start overthinking. You know what I mean? Then you start questioning things. If it's flowing like that, there's no question. So when Kendrick took the break that he was taking, and when the Super Bowl happened and he was on that bill and there was no album right after that from Interscope, I knew he didn't have it.
You know, the Benny record with Hit made me feel like, and this is what I mean, it made me excited again. I was like, maybe he really has been spending the past year selecting from the best of his best songs that he's made.
And that could be a possibility too.
And if that's the case, I'm okay with that. And this is how that record made me feel. It's like, okay, it's like, because I feel like he keeps trying to go a route to get a certain level of notoriety, and I don't think that it's working for him. Like the Big Dog shit with Wayne is tough, but it's not even Johnny P's caddy. And I think he realizes these things, and he's like, let me go pick the best songs that work for me.
Right.
And if he's doing that, then that's how I felt about the record, and it made me excited because of that.
Well, if he's doing that, then that's fine. I think we're just not used to people doing that in this era because things come out so frequently. And I think that if he's really being meticulous about it in that way, I think that's great, especially coming from the camp that he comes from, because that's a lot of people's critiques about their camp is that they do put out so much. I mean, it's a gift and a curse. Some people look at it as a strength, which I think it is, and some people look at it as like, yo, you're putting out way too much stuff. But if he's being meticulous, and this is going to stand above many of the things that have been done before, I'm with it. But the catch-22 to that is you start to add pressure onto the effort as well when you do that.
Let's get ready to get out of here. Just real quick, Mahogany is beating Songcry with 117 votes in. Okay? So we're clear.
Yeah,
It's a little
53% to
closer now.
47. Yeah.
It's closer now. It's 53 to 47, but he still lost. If we would have stopped at 100, he would have lost. Would have stopped at 50, he would have lost. Would have stopped at 25, he would have lost.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. I
Mahogany's
mean,
better
shoot,
than
it's over.
Songcraft.
It's over. They said the
But
Cuddy's rapping and it's good, so I'm gonna go check it out.
yeah, I haven't heard the 21 or the Cuddy, but I'm going to listen to him today. Before we go, Mike, I did kind of like, I feel like we need to let Pac and Big rest.
You
So
don't
I
want to
kinda
do
don't
the
wanna-
station head? I got my songs here.
I mean, we can if you want to, Mike, but I really think I'm going to undress you.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the songs that I have here, I'm not gonna say that I'm going into this super confident, to be real.
And you've been feeling like the underdog, Mike, and I don't like that because you've been losing.
But I don't want to
And-
do that to Biggie fans either, though. You know what I mean? Like, I think that.
Well, here's what I'm saying. Biggie's fan and Jay's fans are the same core fan base. And so I'm all about that Rakim Jay-Z thing.
You
And
rather
so
do the,
respectfully,
okay.
I would like to submit to you. I would like to talk about two of our top 5 that's actually still here with us.
Okay.
And all this spoken word bullshit that ain't working for him really does make me think about Rakim in another light again. Well, actually, the same light I've always thought about him in. And Mike, I think for most people, Jay-Z would be the favorite in this battle. And I'm cool with being the underdog and taking Rakim.
Okay.
And I would like to submit to you a little challenge.
Do you want to?
Rakim versus Jay-Z.
Are we doing what we said, 96 to 03, or I get the whole catalog?
I mean, you can have whatever you want.
Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, going up against Rakim, I'm probably gonna have to, lean more towards
I was about to say,
96
you can
03
play some
anyway.
post 03 shit if you want to. I
Yeah.
personally would love that.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't work out the best for me. So.
If you do that, you're gonna lose. Play some Blueprint 3 shit. Watch what happens.
All right, we're gonna get up out of here, man. We appreciate y'all stepping in for us to speak on this song real quick. Before we get out of here, though, I mean, what's the final assessment on this new Jay-Z song with Samuels and D'Angelo?
Oh, Mike, I think a lot of people, I believe they call it cooping now. I believe I'm a whole adjective, like you got ethered, like I be cooping.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, travesty and tragedy.
I think that the song itself is a cool song, cool vibe, but I think that it was over promoted, and I think false advertising, like you said earlier, would be what I would speak to on it. If you're looking for a great Jay-Z verse to start off the year and a Jay-Z and D'Angelo true collaboration, we didn't get that here. I'll put it that way.
The only thing that could have made this worse is if Andre would have played the flute at the end. Everybody have a great day.
I think that the song would be the same song if Jay-Z or D'Angelo wasn't on it, and that's pretty much what it is. Mad Max with the super chat before we get out of here. He says, did y'all do the Big versus Pac already? Mike had Big. He lost. You could pick Snoop or Scarface, and I'll pick Ho. Let go. Enough is enough. You don't want to do the Scarface and Jay. But yeah, I think the Rakim and Jay is cool. I'm with that. I'll take Jay, and yeah, this is going to be great.
Yeah. I got
Everybody
the God
wins.
MC.
Everybody wins. All right, everybody have a great weekend, and we're going to holler at y'all Monday.